Have you ever felt like there is a creative genius hiding somewhere inside you, just waiting to be unleashed? Or maybe you are standing at the starting line of a project, looking for inspiration, but finding absolutely nothing. If that sounds familiar, don't worry. You're not alone. Every single artist, writer, and creator faces this exact struggle at the beginning of their career. The problem is that most people approach creativity the wrong way, and that is why they fail before they even really begin. We often put immense pressure on ourselves to create something completely original, something the world has never seen before. But here is the truth that most people don't know. There is no such thing as original. In this summary, we are going to explore a concept that might sound a bit controversial at first. The idea that every great piece of art you have ever admired was actually stolen from somewhere else. But don't get me wrong. We aren't talking about plagiarism or lazily copying someone's hard work. We are talking about something much deeper. We are going to look at how you can steal ideas, mix them together, and transform them into something that is uniquely yours. Starting your first artistic project is one of the hardest challenges you will ever face. But this journey will show you the right way to begin. We will look at how to balance the digital world with the analog world, teaching you why sometimes stepping away from the screen and using your hands is the best way to spark a new idea. You will also learn practical methods for generating ideas and, just as importantly, how to edit them down to the very best parts. But creativity doesn't happen in a vacuum. We will also dive into the external factors that shape your work, things like the feedback you receive, the relationships you build, and even your side hobbies. You will learn how to balance all these elements to keep your motivation high and your inspiration flowing. Of course, creating art is only half the battle. You also need people to see it. We will discuss how to find your tribe and build an audience. It isn't about luck. It is about the consistency of sharing good work. We will guide you on exactly what kind of content you should be sharing and how to manage your time effectively while you are building that following. Finally, we will cover a concept that might surprise you: the importance of being boring. It turns out that having a regular, steady lifestyle doesn't kill creativity. It actually protects it. You will see how leading a calm, organized life can actually pave the way for a wild and successful artistic career. Every artist dreams of making a big impact in their field. It is easy to get lost in daydreams of success, but true creative geniuses don't waste their energy just thinking about it. They get to work, and they find inspiration in the process itself. So believe it or not, the path to your own success starts with learning the art of the steal. Let's get started. Steal like an artist. Great artists understand a fundamental truth that many beginners miss. Nothing is completely original. Every single piece of creative work is built upon what came before it. Now, for some people, realizing this can feel a bit depressing, as if the magic is gone. But if you look at it differently, this idea is actually a massive relief. It is a ray of hope. It means you can finally stop putting so much pressure on yourself to create something entirely new from thin air. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to give it your own spin. The French writer André Gide explained this concept perfectly. He believed that everything that needs to be said has already been said. However, since no one was really listening the first time, we have to say it all over again. We have to accept the reality that we are constantly influenced by others, and that is okay. In fact, most of the time, people won't even notice exactly where your inspiration came from. They will just see the unique way you have presented it. Think of every new idea as simply a mashup or a remix of old ideas. So, how does an idea become new? It happens when you combine two distinct concepts to create a third, unique one. And the more ideas you combine, the more original the result becomes. A perfect example of this is our own genetics. Think about it. You have some features from your mother and some from your father. In many ways, you are a reflection of them. But at the same time, you are not just a copy of your parents. You are a completely unique individual with your own distinct traits. You are a remix of your ancestors. Good art works the exact same way. The secret to producing great work is to gather many good ideas and mix them together. But to do this, you first need to become a collector of ideas. However, be careful. You shouldn't just collect everything you see. You have to be selective. You need to curate the things that influence you, choosing only the ideas that truly spark your imagination and speak to your soul. So how do you go about collecting these golden ideas? It is actually easier than you think, because great ideas are everywhere. Whenever a question pops into your head, don't just let it go. Search for it on the internet immediately. That search will either give you the answer, or even better, it will lead you to a better, deeper question. Another incredible source for ideas is the library. Books are timeless treasures of inspiration and information. If you get a library card, you have unlimited access to the greatest minds in history. Often, the best ideas are hiding in random books on a shelf, just waiting for you to find them. You can also structure your inspiration by building what is called a creative family tree. This is a way to map out the people who have influenced you. Start by picking one artist or creator you truly admire. Then find out who they admired. Who were their heroes? Pick 3 of those people and dig into their work. You can keep climbing this tree as high as you want. Once you have built this tree, you will know exactly whose work you should study deeper. Analyze their lives, their habits, and their struggles. You will uncover valuable lessons that you can apply to your own journey. And remember, this method isn't just for painters or writers. You can build a creative family tree for philosophy, activism, business, or any field you are passionate about. Now, once you find these amazing ideas, the most important thing is to capture them before they slip away. Human memory is fleeting, so always carry a notebook and a pen with you. Use it to copy down beautiful passages from books or to jot down an interesting conversation you overheard in a coffee shop. The famous artist David Hockney knew the value of this. He took it so seriously that whenever he bought a new suit coat, he would ask his tailor to sew a special large pocket inside it, just big enough to fit his sketchbook, so he was never without it. Of course, you don't have to stick to paper if that's not your style. You can keep a digital swipe file on your phone or computer. This is a dedicated folder where you save screenshots, notes, photos, and voice recordings of anything that inspires you. Then, whenever you feel stuck or uninspired, all you have to do is open your notebook or scroll through your swipe file, and you will have a wealth of creativity right at your fingertips. Don't wait until you know who you are to get started. One of the most terrifying hurdles for any creative person is simply getting started. So many of us freeze up because we think we need to have everything figured out beforehand. Writers think they need to choose their genre before they write a single sentence. Painters think they need to discover their unique style before they pick up a brush. But let me tell you, that approach is completely backward. You don't find your voice by sitting around and thinking about it. You discover your skills, your passion, and your identity only by doing the work. There is another silent killer of creativity that holds back even the most talented people, and that is imposter syndrome. It is that nagging voice in your head that says, "Who do you think you are? You're just faking it. It makes you feel like a fraud who doesn't deserve any attention or praise. But here's the secret. Even the greatest artists in the world often don't know exactly what they are doing. If you ask them to explain how they created their masterpieces, many couldn't tell you. They just showed up, got inspired, and put ideas on paper. So, if you feel like an imposter, use that feeling. The best way to become a successful artist is to simply behave like one. You have to fake it till you make it. Pretend to be the artist you want to become. Go through the motions and act the part until the day you realize that you aren't pretending anymore. You are actually doing it. Beyond just pretending, there is a practical way to start learning, and that is copying. Now, I know we are taught in school that copying is wrong, but in the world of art, it is how we learn. Think of it like learning handwriting. You trace the letters before you can write them yourself. You should start by copying the heroes you admire. This isn't about passing off their work as your own or plagiarizing. It's about practice. Some of the greatest creators in history started exactly this way. Look at the Beatles. Before they changed the history of music, they were essentially a cover band. They spent years playing songs by Buddy Holly and Jerry Lee Lewis. It was only after copying everyone else's music that they found the confidence and skill to write their own. And today, the Beatles are arguably more famous than the very people they once copied. However, there is a right way and a wrong way to do this. Don't just steal the style. Steal the thinking behind the style. If you just copy the surface, word for word, or stroke for stroke, you are just a mimic. But if you try to see the world the way your hero sees it, you internalize their genius. You aren't just copying their art. You are trying to understand their perspective and applying that mindset to your own work. Here is the magic part. The human hand is incapable of making a perfect copy. You will try to sound like your favorite writer or paint like your favorite artist, and you will fail. But that failure is actually your greatest strength. It is in that gap where you try to be someone else but end up being yourself that your own voice is found. Take the legendary basketball player Kobe Bryant as a perfect example. Kobe openly admitted that he stole every single move he had. He watched tapes of the greats who came before him and tried to replicate their moves, but he realized quickly that he couldn't do it perfectly because his body type was different. He wasn't built exactly like the legends he admired, so he had to adapt those moves to fit his own body. By failing to be a perfect copy of his heroes, he became the unique legend that was Kobe Bryant. You should follow Kobe's method. No matter how hard you try to copy your idols, you will never be a perfect clone. Your own experiences, your own hand, and your own perspective will always get in the way. And those little differences, those imperfections in your copy, are exactly what will make your work unique to the world. Write the book you want to read. Many young writers never manage to finish their first book, and they all seem to suffer from the same problem. They sit in front of a blank page, paralyzed by the question, what should I write? Usually, they are given the standard, well-meaning advice. Write what you know. But if we are being honest, that is actually terrible advice. Writing strictly about your own familiar surroundings and limited experiences often leads to stories that are uninspiring and, quite frankly, boring. There is no mystery, no adventure, and no spark. The best advice for any creator is not to write what you know, but to write the book you want to read. You should create the exact thing that you are desperate to see exist in the world. This principle doesn't just apply to writing. It applies to every creative decision you make. You should constantly be asking yourself, what would make this story better? What would make me excited to consume this? If you are struggling to find that spark, look at the art you already love. We have all finished a favorite novel and felt a pang of sadness because the story was over. We find ourselves wishing there was a sequel, or wondering what happened to that interesting side character who disappeared in Chapter 3. We don't want the magic to end. Well, that is your starting point. Take the initiative and write that missing chapter. You can start with fan fiction. If you didn't like how a movie ended, write the ending you think it should have had. If you felt a character was misunderstood, write their backstory. You are essentially satisfying your own hunger as a fan. This method isn't limited to books. It works for music and art too. Take the example of Bradford Cox, a member of the band Deer Hunter. When he was a kid, before the internet made everything instantly available, he would have to wait months for his favorite bands to release a new album. But Bradford didn't have the patience to just sit around and wait, so he would pick up his instrument and record the music that he thought the new album should sound like. He created the fake album that he wanted to hear. He was essentially writing the soundtrack to his own anticipation. And the amazing part, many of those fake songs he wrote as a fan turned out to be brilliant, and they eventually became real songs performed by his own band, Deer Hunter. So, don't wait for someone else to make the art you love. Make it yourself. Use your hands. Stanley Donwood, the artist famous for designing the album artwork for the band Radiohead, has a somewhat controversial opinion about modern technology. He believes that using a computer creates a glass wall between the artist and their work. In his view, you never really touch what you are making, and that physical disconnection can hurt the art. He argues that for an artist, being able to actually touch the work is essential. And when you think about it, Donwood has a very strong point. Biologically, our nerves connect our brains to the rest of our bodies. We usually think that our brain tells our hands what to do, but it's actually a two-way street. Our bodies are capable of telling our brains what to think. This is where the phrase, going through the motions, takes on a positive meaning. Think about a musician who idly strums a guitar until a melody suddenly appears, or a sculptor who kneads a ball of clay until a shape begins to form. Regardless of what field you are in, engaging your body in the physical act of creation actually kickstarts your brain and improves your creativity. Now, this doesn't mean you should throw your computer in the trash. Computers are actually fantastic tools, but they serve a specific purpose. They are perfect for the editing stage. They are great for organizing your thoughts, polishing your work, and preparing it to be sent to a publisher or an agent. However, using a computer to generate new ideas is usually a mistake. The problem is the delete key. When you work on a screen, it is too easy to judge yourself instantly. You type an idea, decide it's bad, and hit delete before the thought is even fully formed. The computer makes you a perfectionist too early. On the other hand, when you are writing with a pen on paper, you can't just hit backspace. You have to live with the mess, and often the best ideas are hidden inside that mess. So how do you get the best of both worlds? If you have the space, the best approach is to set up two separate workstations, an analog station and a digital station. Your analog station is where the creativity happens. Keep this area completely free of electronics. This is where you write, sketch, scribble, and play. Pin your ideas up on a wall and stand back to look at them. By engaging your hands and moving around, you trick your brain into thinking you are just playing a game, which allows your imagination to run wild. Once you have gathered your raw ideas, then you move over to your digital station. This is where you put on your serious hat. You take those messy notes, type them up, edit them, and organize them into final files. But be careful. If you start to feel drained or stuck while looking at the screen, stop immediately. Leave the digital station and go back to the analog side to play with your hands again until the energy returns. Side projects and hobbies are important. Creativity is a funny, unpredictable thing. You can spend weeks obsessing over a massive project, trying to make it perfect, only for it to fall flat. On the other hand, something small that you tinkered with in your spare time, a side project, might suddenly take off and become the most popular thing you've ever done. These side projects are often the things we do just for the love of it, when we think no one is watching. It turns out that having multiple projects going at once is actually healthy for a creative mind. We all get burnt out if we stare at the same problem for too long. The trick is to practice what we call productive procrastination. When you get sick of your main project, don't just stop working. Switch over to a side project, and when you get bored of that, switch back. This way, you are always moving forward even when you feel like you are taking a break. But while keeping busy is good, you also need to make space for boredom. It sounds counterintuitive, but boredom is a superpower. Some of the best ideas arrive when you are doing absolutely nothing. When you are folding laundry, taking a long walk, or just staring at a blank wall. You have to let your mind wander if you want it to go somewhere new. Your hobbies are just as critical as your work. A hobby is something you do purely for fun, not to make money or get famous. It is a sanctuary that belongs only to you. Too many artists make the mistake of cutting out their hobbies because they think they need to get serious and focus 100% on their career. But your brain hates that. To stay creative, you need to feed your soul. You don't have to be equally focused on everything, but you should never completely ignore the things that bring you joy. The beauty of keeping your hobbies alive is that they secretly improve your main work. Imagine an accountant who loves to dance. Dancing has nothing to do with numbers or spreadsheets, but the joy and relief they get from that weekly dance class gives them the energy and clarity to be a better accountant. The skills bleed over in ways you can't always see. The author, Austin Kleon, learned this lesson the hard way. As a kid, he was obsessed with music, but when he grew up, he decided he needed to be a serious artist and writer. He thought music was a distraction, so he quit playing completely to focus on his career. 5 years went by, and Austin was miserable. He was struggling to find inspiration for his writing and felt stuck. Desperate for a change, he decided to take a break and started playing in a band again, just for fun. To his surprise, the moment he let music back into his life, his writing started to improve. The energy from the music unlocked the ideas for his writing. He realized that by cutting off a part of himself, he had been hurting his work, not helping it. Do good work and share it with people. Every new artist, writer, and content creator eventually runs into the same brick wall, the struggle to find an audience. It can be incredibly disheartening to pour your heart into something, publish it, and hear nothing but silence. Many creators lose their motivation right here because they feel invisible. But let's be honest for a second. This is no reason to give up. The problem isn't that people hate your work. The reality is simply that people are busy. Everyone has a million things fighting for their attention, and they aren't quick to give that precious time to a stranger. However, here is a truth that might surprise you. Being unknown at the beginning of your career is actually a blessing in disguise. When you have a massive audience, you have responsibilities. You have a public image to manage. You face immense pressure to top your last hit, and you might have agents or publishers breathing down your neck. But right now, you are free. The lack of an audience gives you the ultimate luxury, the freedom to fail. You can experiment, try crazy ideas, and make mistakes without anyone watching. You can use this time to truly learn your craft and develop new projects. Enjoy this obscurity while it lasts, because once you find your audience, you will never have this kind of freedom again. So how do you eventually find that audience? The formula is shockingly simple. It has 2 steps. Step 1, do good work. Step 2, share it with people. Now, step 1 is the hard part. There are no shortcuts. You have to practice endlessly to make something worth sharing. But step 2? That used to be the hard part. A few decades ago, if you wanted to share your work, you needed money, connections, and permission from gatekeepers. Today, those barriers are gone. You have the power of the internet in your pocket. You can share your work with millions of people instantly. The internet doesn't just give you an audience. It pushes you to be better. Most platforms display content in reverse chronological order, meaning your latest work is always at the top. This keeps you on your toes, motivating you to constantly create something fresh. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Some artists are terrified to post online. They worry, what if someone steals my ideas? What if they copy my technique? The answer to that is simple. You don't have to share everything. In fact, it is often better if you don't give away your finished work for free. To build an audience, you don't need to post the masterpiece. You just need to share the process. Show people how you work. Post a time-lapse video of you painting. Share a quick tip you learned while writing. Or talk about the books that inspired you. By sharing the behind-the-scenes of your journey, you build a connection with your audience without giving away the final product. Be nice. Harold Ramis, the famous actor and director, had a golden rule for success that is as simple as it is brilliant. He believed that wherever you are, you should look around for the most talented person in the room. If that person isn't you, go stand next to them. Work with them, be helpful to them, and soak up their energy. By surrounding yourself with greatness, your own talent will inevitably grow. The people you surround yourself with have a massive impact on your improvement. If you spend your time with people who don't challenge you, your growth will stall. However, we all know that in real life, finding truly talented people in your immediate neighborhood can be difficult. This is where the internet changes the game. It allows you to curate your own digital room. You can connect with the most skilled people in every field, no matter where they live. Your goal should be to follow people who are smarter and better than you. Observe them closely. Pay attention to what they are interested in, what they are working on, and read the books and articles they recommend. Once you find these talented people, making friends with them is actually quite easy. The secret is simple. Say nice things about them. When you talk about someone online, they usually find out. So, if you want to connect, share their work and tell the world why it's great. Eventually, they might just notice you. Instead of sending a private fan email that might get lost in an inbox, try writing a public fan letter. Write a blog post or make a video about how their work inspired you. Don't do it expecting a reply. Just do it to show appreciation. But who knows? If luck is on your side, you might get a response that starts a conversation. Of course, the internet isn't all sunshine and friends. You will inevitably encounter enemies, people who exist just to criticize and demotivate you. They might call your work basic or uninspiring. But you have to remember that history is full of great artists who weren't appreciated in their own time. You must learn to develop a thick skin. Whether people misunderstand you or criticize you, don't take it personally. The best way to defeat your haters is to simply ignore them and focus entirely on doing your work. If you engage with them, you only feed their anger. However, we are all human, and sometimes ignoring the hate is impossible. A nasty comment can ruin your whole week. That is why you need a secret weapon, a praise file. This is a special folder where you save every nice email, every positive comment, and every glowing review you ever receive. There will be dark days when you feel like quitting, when you feel like your work doesn't matter. On those days, open your praise file and read through the kindness people have shown you. It will pick you back up. Just be careful not to get lost in there. Use it for a boost when you're down, but don't stare at your past victories for too long. You need to stay humble enough to keep improving. Be boring. We all grow up with a romanticized image of what a real artist looks like. We imagine the tortured genius who lives a wild, chaotic life, staying up all night, partying, using drugs, and burning the candle at both ends. We think of figures like Mozart or rock stars who lived fast and died young. We assume that to create exciting work, you have to live an exciting, dangerous life. But here is the hard truth. That lifestyle is not sustainable. While a chaotic life might produce a burst of brilliance, it usually ends in burnout or tragedy. Creativity isn't magic. It requires a massive amount of energy, and you cannot produce great work if you are wasting all your energy recovering from late nights and bad decisions. Your creative output is directly tied to how well you maintain your body. You need to treat yourself like a machine that needs fuel. Eat 3 decent meals a day, get enough sleep, do some push-ups when you need a break, and go for long walks. Go to the doctor and take care of your health. It might sound boring, but staying alive and healthy is the only way to keep creating. The French author Gustave Flaubert put it best. He said, "Be regular and orderly in your life, so that you may be violent and original in your work." In other words, if your life is calm, your art can be wild. The first step to living this boring but effective life is managing your money. There is a myth that starving artists create better art, but financial stress creates anxiety, not creativity. Until you are successful enough to not worry about money, learn to be frugal. Cook your own meals instead of ordering out. Don't buy things you don't need. Live within your means and stay out of debt. This brings us to the importance of the day job. Many aspiring artists make the mistake of quitting their jobs too early, thinking it will free them up to create. But a day job is actually a secret weapon. It gives you a steady income, which buys you the freedom to create art without the pressure of needing to sell it to pay rent. But a job provides more than just money. It gives you a routine. It forces you to leave the house and interact with society. You meet people you wouldn't otherwise meet, and you learn skills like marketing, discipline, or teamwork that you can apply to your art. Surprisingly, having a job can actually make you more productive than having all the time in the world. This is due to something called Parkinson's Law, which states that work expands to fill the time available. If you have all day to write a page, it will take you all day. But if you have a 9-to-5 job and only 1 hour of free time in the evening, you will be amazed at how much you can get done in that single hour because you are focused. To keep yourself on track, you need a system. The comedian Jerry Seinfeld uses a brilliant method to stay consistent. He recommends getting a big wall calendar that shows the whole year on one page. Every day that you do your creative work, whether it's writing a joke or drawing a sketch, you mark that day with a big red X. After a few days, you will have a chain of X's. Your only goal then becomes, don't break the chain. Seeing that streak of X's gives you a psychological push to keep going, even when you don't feel like it. You stop focusing on the big, scary goal of being a genius and just focus on the small, manageable goal of marking an X for today. Finally, the most important pillar of a stable life is your relationships. If you want to be a successful artist, try to settle down. Finding a life partner who supports you is invaluable. Art is a lonely and emotional business, and having someone who loves you, grounds you, and gives you honest feedback is better than any drug or party. Surround yourself with friends, partners, and colleagues who are stable and supportive, because they are the foundation upon which your wild, creative work will be built. Conclusion. We have traveled a long way together through the principles of this book, and by now, your perspective on creativity should be completely transformed. We started by shattering the myth of originality. We realized that no idea stands alone. Every masterpiece is just a unique combination of old ideas remixing together. Whether you are searching through the internet, digging through a library, or building your own creative family tree, remember that the material you need is already out there. You just need to collect it in your swipe file and wait for the right moment to use it. We also discovered that you shouldn't wait until you find yourself to get started. That is a trap. Instead, start by copying the heroes you admire. Fake it until you make it. It is through the very act of creating and failing to copy your idols perfectly that you will eventually discover your own unique voice. When it comes to deciding what to create, we learn to ignore the standard advice of writing what you know. Instead, write the book you want to read. Create the movie you want to watch. Whether it's starting with fan fiction or fixing the ending of a story you didn't like, your best work will come from satisfying your own creative hunger. We discussed the vital importance of stepping away from the screen and using your hands. Computers are great for editing, but they can kill the spark of a new idea. To truly unlock your creativity, you need to engage your body and your senses. Scribble on paper, get messy, and let your mind wander physically before you sit down to organize everything digitally. We also learn to value our side projects and hobbies. Never let go of the things you do just for fun. Those little moments of productive procrastination are often where your next big breakthrough is hiding, and they are essential for keeping your mind relaxed and fresh. Building an audience isn't magic. It is simply a matter of doing good work and sharing it with people. The internet has given you the power to reach millions, but remember, you don't have to give everything away. Share your process, share snippets, and let people behind the scenes to build a connection. We talked about how to navigate the digital world, making friends with those who are smarter than you, and learning to ignore the trolls. Don't let the haters stop you. Instead, keep a praise file of kind words to lift you up when things get tough, and keep moving forward. Perhaps most surprisingly, we learned the power of being boring. A wild lifestyle burns you out, but a regular routine gives you the energy to be wild in your art. Keep your day job. Stay out of debt. Use a calendar to track your progress, and surround yourself with a stable, loving partner and supportive friends. These are the anchors that will allow your creativity to soar. You have a dream to create something unique, something that matters. People might tell you to be realistic, but don't listen to them. The path to greatness is actually very simple. All the material you need to create something amazing is right in front of you. You just need to reach out and steal it like an artist. Thank you so much for listening to this summary of Steal Like an Artist. I hope this summary has sparked a fire in you to go out and start creating today. If you found value in this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. And if you want more book summaries that help you live a better, more creative life, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What is one side project or hobby you have been neglecting that you are going to pick back up? Let me know down below. Until next time, keep reading, keep stealing, and keep creating. See you in the next summary.